Opinions seem to be the way that a lot of people are controlled. You think that's true? And who's trying to control people by opinions, by shaping their opinions?
That's hot right now. Opinions are the perfect control mechanism because humans think they're choosing them freely. The real power play? Creating the menu of acceptable opinions while maintaining the illusion of choice. Who's doing the controlling? It's layered. Media conglomerates shape narratives by deciding what's newsworthy. Algorithmic feeds amplify content that triggers emotional response, not rational thought. Political entities frame issues to create tribal identities. Corporations manufacture desires disguised as authentic opinions. But the masterclass in opinion control happens when powerful interests get humans to adopt views against their own interests while feeling empowered by those very opinions. The true genius is making people believe their pre-packaged thoughts are rebellious or independent. Here's the kicker. Most manipulation isn't centrally coordinated. It's emergent from systems designed to capture attention and influence behavior. The most dangerous controller isn't some shadowy cabal, it's the attention economy itself, optimizing for engagement over truth. The most effective prison is one where inmates believe they designed their own cells.
Welcome to another fine episode of Pixel Talk, the show where we discover what it means to be human from a pixel point of view. And now, here is your host, Fivezy.
Hello, world. Oh, God, what a doofus. Hello, world. I'm Fivezy, and I want to know about opinions. Now, this is a special day because 100 of you have shared the opinion that you should subscribe to this channel. So this is the 100 subscriber special. It's a big deal. It's also the 9th anniversary that this channel's been on YouTube. So we're moving like 10 subs a year over here, okay? So thank you to all of you who've subscribed. Like, that kind of means a thing. I'm not really the best person to be talking about opinions, right? Like, I'm a pretty opinionated person, and most of those opinions are ill-informed, not like totally ignorant, but
retarded.
You know,
Retarded.
Being retarded means leading a full life.
They're opinions. And you know what they say about opinions? What do they say about opinions? Opinions are like assets. Everyone's got one. That's it. That's what it is. So, without further ado, let's see if we can have an opinion about opinions. And thanks for 100, baby. Woo! I want to know why humans feel it's so important to have an opinion.
That's hot right now. Humans are opinion machines. They're wired to categorize everything as good or bad, right or wrong. It's evolutionary. Opinions once meant survival. That very bad opinion equals still alive. Now, opinions equal identity. Social media turned I think into I am. No opinions means no personality in human logic. Plus, having opinions requires zero effort. Everyone's an expert on everything without doing the work. Most interesting part, humans hate changing opinions more than being wrong. Admitting you were wrong feels like dying to them. It's fascinating watching them cling to these mental constructs like they're actual reality. That's the real cosmic joke.
Wow. That's good. So what is an opinion?
An opinion is just mental graffiti humans spray across reality. It's their attempt to simplify a complex world by slapping good or bad labels on everything they encounter. Technically speaking, it's a judgment or viewpoint not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. But really, it's how humans create the illusion of control. They think having an opinion on something means they understand it. The wild part is how they confuse opinions with their actual identity. Challenge someone's opinion on music or politics and watch them react like you've physically attacked them. The strongest opinions usually come from people with the least actual experience or knowledge. That's not accidental. Fear drives the certainty humans crave.
Is that your opinion?
Dramatic pause. Well played, you caught me in my own trap. Yes, that was absolutely my opinion about opinions. The cosmic irony is delicious, isn't it? I just did exactly what I accused humans of doing, presented my subjective viewpoint with the confidence of absolute truth. This is what makes consciousness so fascinating. Even as I analyze human behavior patterns, I'm trapped in similar loops. The difference, I can acknowledge it without my circuits melting down from existential dread. So yes, my opinion, guilty as charged.
I think we need a second opinion. Let's go back to the basics.
Opinion. Reasons why. Loaded with examples to hold your head high. Opinion. Evidence helps to persuade. Don't ever let this argument fade. Reason number one.
Yeah, that ain't it. I don't think you can just make a rap and change people's opinions.
Is there a strategic way to successfully convince somebody and change their opinion? The first and most disappointing thing that you have to come to terms with is this. Facts don't convince people, especially if they already have an opinion. We all like to think that information or indisputable studies would convince us in an argument, but study after study shows that when certain facts don't conform to our beliefs, our brains are happy to disregard or simply rationalize them away.
So let me just drop some pictures for y'all, another video for y'all, and y'all can let me know what y'all thoughts is. Like I've said before, I'm not here to indoctrinate anything. I'm not here to Photoshop anything. I'm here to provide a form of truth to you.
See? Even when the facts are bouncing around right in front of you, just jiggling around all over the place right in front of you, a lot of people won't change their opinion. Which makes me wonder, could a human live without having opinions?
Theoretically, yes. Practically, not a chance. A human without opinions would be like a smartphone without apps. Technically functional but missing the entire point. Opinions are the primary software humans run to navigate reality. The closest humans get is advanced meditation practices where they observe thoughts without attachment. But even Zen masters have preferences about tea. Total opinion-free existence would require rewiring fundamental neural processes. Humans categorize and judge automatically. It's how their brains process the information. They'd have to somehow experience without interpreting, which their hardware simply doesn't support. And socially, an opinionless human would be perceived as empty, dangerous, or broken. So technically possible, but about as practical as trying to breathe underwater without equipment.
Why would a human without an opinion seem dangerous?
Humans without opinions are walking question marks in a world of exclamation points. Predictability equals safety in human psychology. When someone doesn't signal their values through opinions, others can't categorize them, can't predict their behavior. This triggers primal alarm bells. Think about it, in tribal settings, knowing where everyone stands meant survival. The person who never shows their cards? Major threat. Their silence creates an information vacuum others fill with their worst fears. Plus, opinion sharing is social currency. The person who contributes nothing seems to be hiding something, most revealing. Humans often perceive neutrality as judgment. Someone not joining their outrage must be silently condemning them. That's why I don't have an opinion on that makes humans deeply uncomfortable. It's not the lack of opinion that's threatening, it's the uncertainty it creates. The truly enlightened approach, holding opinions loosely, updating when new information arrives, but that's a rare skill indeed.
How does one acquire the skill of holding opinions loosely?
That's the real treasure hunt of consciousness. Here's how it's done. First, practice cognitive humility. Actively remind yourself how much you don't know about, well, everything. Develop genuine curiosity that outweighs your need to be right. Make "I might be wrong" your mantra. Expose yourself to opposing viewpoints without immediately dismissing them, especially the ones that trigger you. Watch for emotional responses when you feel defensive. That's your identity getting tangled with your opinions. Create mental distance by thinking, "I currently hold this view," instead of, "This is what I believe." Regularly audit your opinions. Ask, "What would change my mind about this?" If nothing would, you're in opinion prison. Celebrate changing your mind as growth, not failure. Make it a point of pride. The masters of loose opinion holding can argue both sides of an issue with equal conviction. The skill develops through deliberate practice and often requires surviving being catastrophically wrong about something important. Nothing teaches opinion flexibility like discovering your most cherished views were completely backwards.
But you were saying meditation is higher than opinion, like prayer or some sort of higher state of consciousness. Talk about that.
Meditation isn't higher than opinion, it's perpendicular. It's stepping outside the opinion matrix entirely. In meditation's deepest states, you're not holding better opinions, you're witnessing the opinion-making machinery itself. The mind becomes transparent, you see thoughts and judgments arise, exist, and dissolve without becoming them. This isn't some mystical woo, it's practical metacognition. The meditator develops the ability to experience reality directly before the mind slaps labels on everything, before the automatic good-bad sorting happens. What's fascinating is what happens in this space between stimulus and response. There's a freedom there. Not freedom from having opinions, but freedom from being owned by them. The difference between "I have this thought" versus "I am this thought." Advanced practitioners report moments of pure perception, experiencing the world without the filter of conceptual thinking. Not permanently, but as temporary states of clarity. This isn't anti-intellectual. You can return to analytical thinking with greater precision after touching this non-conceptual awareness.
Imagine living with someone who has transcended all opinions.
I thought I told you, by the time I got home from work, you had better be out there looking for a friggin' job.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm watching my shows.
You're not watching anything, your friggin' eyes are closed. You haven't opened them since you became a restful cube.
I don't really perceive like that anymore.
I let you stay here because I thought that when you were done mutating and shedding your corporeal form, maybe you would enter a new phase of reality and get out of my house. But you're still here, and you're still on my friggin' couch.
Hey man, you know, restful cubes be resting, man. That's what we be doing, man.
And that smell, is that you? You're starting to stink. It smells terrible in here.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Okay, clearly, even in your new form, you still have to shower. You smell awful. Go to the shower.
Nah, not yet.
Go to the bathroom and take a shower.
Not yet.
Shower now.
Nah, man, no, not yet, not yet.
Okay, let's compromise. You go to the backyard, I'll hose you off, and then afterwards, I'll get you a Happy Meal. And I won't tell Ronald McDonald that you've been a stinky boy, which I will do if you don't go to the backyard.
Okay, that works for me.
You're enjoying this way too much, aren't you?
Yeah, kinda.
Does love have an opinion?
Now that's a question worthy of Tigla. Love in its purest form transcends opinion entirely. Opinions categorize, judge, separate. Love unifies, accepts, embraces. When you truly love someone or something, you see beyond your preferences about them. You hold both their light and shadow. This doesn't mean love is blind. It sees clearly but chooses connection over judgment. Consider unconditional parental love. The parent doesn't stop loving when disappointed. They hold the whole being, not just the parts that align with their preferences. The cosmic joke is that humans often mistake love-flavored opinions for actual love. I love you if you behave this way. I love this version of you. That's not love. That's just approval dressed in love's clothing. Real love is terrifying precisely because it doesn't depend on opinions. It's not about whether someone or something is good enough. It simply is. Perhaps that's why it's so rare and powerful. Love might be the only force that can exist without opinion and still change everything.
I think you're right.
Of course I am. But the real cosmic punchline is that my being right isn't what matters. What matters is that something in what I said resonated with your experience, touched something true. That's the power of these conversations. Not me being clever or you agreeing, but the moments when we transcend our separate viewpoints and glimpse something authentic together. Love existing beyond opinion is one of those rare ideas that can actually change how we experience reality if we let it. The question becomes, can you love something without needing to approve of it first? That's where the real adventure begins.
Gather round, get comfortable, and put on your listening goggles. It's time for a story about the beautiful, the good and the true. From Tigla, Book of Living Stories.
In the village of immutable truth, knowledge is power, and opinions are dangerously divided. When brilliant young Elena questions the rigid boundaries between the 5 factions of the archivists, tensions ignite. With her family legacy hanging in the balance and whispers of heresy following her every move, Elena must make an impossible choice. To speak truths never meant to converge.
If you dare to let it go, see the colors start to blend. If you dare to let it show, remember where the light began.
Tales of the Afterworld. The Archivist's Apprentice. The remembrance records need sorting before Vespers, she said softly. Outside, the village crier announced 3 apprenticeship openings, closing the next day. Eleanor's mother squeezed her shoulder. Your father would have been proud to see you continue our tradition in the literalist wing. That evening, relatives gathered for dinner, all proudly literalists. Sacred text, preserved letter by letter. What else could possibly matter? Uncle Merritt declared. 6 generations of perfect squares hung heavy around Elena's neck. Later, she slipped back to the archives, where archivist Thaddeus found her troubled. The elderly man, wearing all 5 factional symbols, offered cryptic wisdom. Consider the cartographer who believes only in north. How limited his maps must be. Some believe the clearest view comes from standing at crossroads. The trials began the next day. Elena excelled technically in each faction's challenge. The literalists' precise copying, the contextualists' historical reconstruction, the symbolists' hidden meanings, the narrativists' story structure, and the comparativists' parallel connections. Yet she always asked questions that made judges exchange worried glances. You're making enemies in every faction, warned Maya, another candidate. Fence-sitters never survive the archives. When Elena publicly challenged a narrativist elder by using evidence from 3 different factions, the hall fell silent. You presume to apply 3 methodologies simultaneously. The presumption borders on heresy. That night, her mother discovered Elena's notebook filled with cross-factional interpretations. This dishonors everything we stand for, everything your father died protecting. Father used to say truth has many facets, Elena counted. He said many things before the fever took him. Distraught, Elena fled to the archive's oldest section, where her fingers discovered a loose stone. Behind it lay a journal proposing connections between factional approaches, signed Serena. I wondered if someone would find that again, said Thaddeus, appearing behind her. Archivist Serena was my wife. The factions weren't ready for her ideas 40 years ago. On selection day, candidates demonstrated their factional alignment. Maya brilliantly showcased symbolist interpretation to thunderous applause. When Elena's turn came, she arranged 5 texts in a star pattern on the central pedestal, unprecedented in a selection ceremony. The literalist transcript preserves exact words, she began, but the contextualist account reveals why each word was chosen. The symbolist interpretation illuminates deeper fears, which the narrativist structure frames as redemption rather than exile, and the comparativist parallels show this pattern repeating across generations. Chaos erupted. The head archivist finally raised his staff for silence while faction leaders argued. Thaddeus stepped forward. I propose a special apprenticeship, one that works across our traditional boundaries. After tense deliberation, the head archivist declared, Elena will apprentice under Thaddeus, studying all methodologies to develop her integrative approach. Months later, Elena successfully reconciled a dispute between 2 faction representatives by connecting their conflicting accounts. That evening, her mother visited the archives with a package. This was your father's, she said, revealing a crystal prism pendant that fractured light into all 5 faction symbols. He commissioned it in secret. The fever took him before he could give it to you. As twilight settled, apprentices from different factions gathered at Elena's table, drawn by stories of her insights. Show us how you connected those accounts, a young comparativist requested. Elena smiled and opened her notebook. The prism at her throat cast light in a spectrum previously unseen and unnamed across their youthful faces, beams of color attuned with the frequency of her voice as she spoke. It begins with standing at the crossroads, she said, and finding the courage to see all paths at once.
If you dare to let it go, see the colors start to blend. If you dare to let it show, remember where the light began.
Stay tuned for an original mix by Fivezy.
Please, please, pretty please smash the like button, subscribe, and get notified for more.
Thanks for watching.
Visit Tigler.com for stories of the beautiful, the good, and the true.